everyone? It's Thursday, West Coast, almost 3 p.m. How's everyone doing? So we have first quarter 2020 numbers from Uber. And again, I'm shocked, just like I was shocked yesterday, right? I thought that we were in the middle of a pandemic. I honestly thought we were in the middle of a pandemic and that March and April was wiped out. But how do they post such rosy, uplifting numbers? Uber earnings post surprise jump in bookings and revenue, just as Lyft did yesterday. What did Lyft do? I mean, Lyft has just shot up 20-something% within one day. And Uber follows suit, right? Uber is sitting on, I think, $33 trading after hours. So who do we have in the house? We have Nifty 50s Life, who came in first, Mark Fowdy, Boston, Ziggy 007, Calvin Witt, France Murphy, Abstract Echo Jimmy, Alan Smith, QGS. I welcome you all. Are you guys as surprised as I am? Really? Are you guys as surprised as I am looking at these numbers, looking at the reports from yesterday, Lyft, today, Uber? But the losses with Uber widen to $3 billion. Now, I got two real interesting topics to cover today. Firstly, obviously, these Q1 2020 Uber announcements, and then a very interesting survey. And I just want to read this to you. It says, the survey suggests we're pretty much done with ride sharing after all of this. This is an interesting article, right? And it's based on interviewing 25,000 Americans. Wow. We'll go there just now. So, who else jumped into the house? Guess who's back? Alan Smith is back. He says, just polls, bullshit. I like it. Just polls, polls and polls and polls, right? So Uber reported first quarter earnings that largely beat Wall Street estimates, just as Lyft reported first quarter earnings yesterday that largely beat Wall Street estimates. What's going on here? I have no idea. I would have never in my wildest dreams thought that Lyft would be coming out with numbers like that yesterday and Uber today. To me, it sort of sounds too good to be true. We have Marco Lugo in the house. Cruising Limousine has driven in. John Madrigal's in the house. Robert Garrison is in the house. Robert Garrison says they accessed their hidden slush funds they hid last year to get their stock price up so the stockholders don't drive them out and take over. Alrighty-o, I like that. I like that juicy information. Thank you. Right? But the ride-hailing giant's losses widened to $3 billion as the coronavirus crisis forced the company to spend more on incentives designed to encourage consumers to use its services. Sort of makes sense, right? Ziggy 007 says it's all a rich man's game. Remember that song? If I was a rich man, la 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 la, da 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 dum 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 dum. If I was a rich man. Keto, Chef Bobby Z in the house. Taurus Peto Yan in the house. Welcome. Happy Thursday, everyone. Hope everyone is staying safe. I hope you all have good news to report. I hope some people got their unemployment money. Anybody, can anybody report receiving a check? Let's get some good news going here. Robin Greeneth just marched in. Thanks for all the messages, Robin. Anybody seen UI unemployment money in California? Has anyone received cash from California? I haven't seen anything. Has anyone seen money from Nevada? I haven't seen anything. What is happening, California? What is happening, Nevada? So despite a surprise jump in bookings, this is the part that puzzles me, right? And revenue in the face of the coronavirus pandemic that's ricocheting across corporate America and the global economy, Uber stock tumbled by around 2% in the after hours trading as analysis honed in on the company's inability to turn a profit. But they've gone up considerably today. Where are we sitting right now? Right now, we are sitting at $33.15 after hour trading. So it's gone up a further 7%. It went up yesterday to $30.93. That's an 11% jump after Lyft came out with those beautiful, juicy, rosy numbers, right? So this might be their lifeline. I would have not have been able to dream these numbers up. Joey Romero in the house says, I've stopped driving since January, but still enjoy your channel. Thank you. Well, thank you for coming in, and thank you for lifting up all the drivers, right? We're hanging out here together, sharing and getting through this, right? Tell you what, once we're through this, right, I wouldn't be able to have an audience mid-afternoon on a Thursday. People would be out working, right? I would have to make live streams late in the evening or early in the morning, usually when it was busy, when it was pandemic free. So it looks like we're hanging out at home. It looks like we're getting a couple of maybe dollars in through deliveries or Instacart. But generally speaking, I think everybody is still in that stay-at-home phase. If we could just pump up the numbers here, pump up the likes, I would greatly appreciate that. That helps me big time in the YouTube channel. Toros Petian says, how are these numbers still up, Uber and Lyft? That's what I'm puzzled about, my friend. You tell me. Do you have the secret sauce, the secret formula, why they're behaving in this fashion? I don't. Doesn't make any sense. Keto says, if you need any help a bit, let me know. Perfect. Thank you, sir. Alan Smith says, never received anything here in Maryland. Really? You kidding? Nothing? Anybody in Maryland have any good news to report? I mean, I love hearing from drivers or whoever it is if they say, hey, I got my check, I got my UI, because it means you can breathe, right? You can breathe a little. It takes a little bit of the stress off the shoulders, right? I mean, stress is like two big cement bags on your back pushing you down, weighting you up. Can't really sleep very well when you stress and you worry about money, right? You toss and turn. Girlfriend or wife said, what's wrong, honey? Don't really want to talk about it. You sort of like swallow, you shut up, you don't talk about it, and you just internalize that stress. It's not good for us. If I can give you a tip, talk openly about it. Hey, I'm a bit stressed out about the money. I'm stressed out about the fact that UI is not coming. Just get it out. Just get it out of your system. Don't swallow it and shove it down there, shelve it somewhere there. It's not good. So Ziggy says, IQ Boy walked into the room. It's good to see you here. Nothing here in Illinois either. Why are they taking so long? I mean, we're in May, and these guys still haven't figured out the shit. What's going on, Steve Mnuchin? Are you hoarding that money? Are you not passing? Also, very, very disappointed about the SBA. That money, my friends, was meant for us. Jive at 5. Hi, buddy. Goeienaand. Got Holland in the house. Hoe gaan het? That money was for us, that SBA money, right? But it ended up in really wealthy corporate accounts and public traded accounts. And that money didn't make its way through to us. And a lot of UI money and a lot of checks have not reached our shores. I'm really puzzled what's going on, folks. I mean, are those fat cats on the top holding the money and getting fatter, buying themselves shrimp, steaks, lobsters? What is going on? Maybe they're making the money on the interest. You're right, Ziggy. Jay Morris says, went on live sessions with Lyft at 1:45. Feed was terrible. Really? How did that go? I mean, how long was that feed? What did they give people? Any reassurances? Was it uplifting? Was it sad? Was it depressing? Give me some more juicy information. Cruise and Limousine says, I was told they are processing all the W-2s first. Well, that might make sense if you're in the waiting game, right? W-2s come first. 1099, yeah, we'll deal with them later. those 1099. Ha! We'll deal with the W-2s first. Like, is there like some hierarchy here? It's like W-2 and 1099s. I mean, what's going on? Robert Garrison says, typical American corporate policy. Yeah, I'm not always happy with the typical American policy, right? Where the people on the top, I mean, some of these salaries that these CEOs get, wow. Even during pandemic times, I was reading some of these salaries. Insane what these guys give themselves, right? And then they're furloughing, cutting. But hey, the masters on the top have to be taken care of. Shine Telemundo, salute. Good to see you. Haven't seen you for a while. How are you? Robin says, help me understand slush fund. If Lyft is passing donation through our driver accounts and calling that our dollars, our earned income, does that equate to slush fund? You know, I'm not, there's this whole thing with all these funds that they're sending up for the restaurants. It all sounds dubious. I mean, what are they washing through these fund accounts that they're sending up, right? I mean, they're getting the riders. Listen to this. They're getting the people who are ordering food deliveries to make donations to this restaurant fund, right? How is this restaurant fund managed? Does a tiny little bit of that money trickle through to the restaurants and the rest is kept in the slush fund? I mean, it's certainly not helping our tips. Those tips are being diverted away from us. I've written to them numerous times on that. I said, this is wrong. When I don't like something, let me rephrase this. When something bothers me, when I think there's something wrong in the system, I often just write a letter and I send it, right? I send it off to Uber and Lyft because I feel like whoever gets it, whether they read it or not, I've got it off my back and I'm fighting for what I believe is right for us, right? So I had a big problem. I wrote a pretty deep letter about this whole restaurant fund. I think it's great that you're helping out restaurants. You're gouging them on the one hand, you're creating a fund for their staff, but what you really are doing, and I name the people, I write to Dara, I put the titles in there. I don't care if they don't read it. Maybe they read it, but whoever is reading it on their side, I just want them to understand that that's really money that people on the front lines deserve, right? And now they're creating this fund for restaurant managers and waiters and all of that are losing money. Well, we're losing money. Don't we work for these companies? Robert Garrison says slush funds were the billions Uber and Lyft set aside last year for rainy days. If Robin Reed, it says Cloud Kitchens by Travis. Shine Telemundo, man, it's good to see you, buddy. It really is. I missed you. I didn't see your face here. And then he suddenly pops up, big smile on my face. I hope you and your family are doing well. Genuine, how are you doing? Kedge M05, I think you're going to try and force drivers off UI. Says, I think they are going to try and force drivers of UI. You bet they are. I mean, they would rather open up, open up the cities, open up so that they don't have to pay this UI out. I honestly think we're dreaming when they present to us, okay, well, you can be up to 39 weeks on UI, right? 39 weeks, 4 weeks in a month. So you basically, what they're saying in the beginning, I mean, 39 weeks is a lot, right? And let's say they are paying between $400 and $600 per week. It differs state by state, city by city. But what they really want to do is they're probably looking, maybe the Treasury Department, maybe the states, they're looking, hey, it's better off getting these people back into the cars, getting them back to work so we don't have to pay out this UI money. I'm puzzled, my friends. George Perez is in the house. He says, do you think all those UI, PUA payments will create problems to Uber in the near future? Yes, I do. I do. And I tell you why, George, because if you read Javier Becerra, the Attorney General in California, one of the main reasons he sued Uber just a few days ago, I don't know if you're aware of this, but he said Your companies are costing the taxpayer money. We are bailing you out, right? We are having to pay for the UI and the PUA that you are really responsible for. You're not taking care. So will they pay dearly in the near future? Yes, because they are in the court systems and they will get their day. And even if they lose, they will appeal. Eventually we'll have a verdict. I just really don't want Uber and Lyft to get onto the November ballot because they bought all of those signatures, right? So if we are in May now, we have May, June, July, August, September, October, 6 more months. We got to really break their backs and crack their spines. I'm sorry to use that terminology, but we got to yank permits, pull permits, and really force them down onto their hands and knees, because if they get onto the ballot, they might get away with all of this shit, right? Because they literally, remember, they bought those signatures for $4 per pop. Hundreds and thousands of the money that Uber and Lyft spent to get themselves on that November ballot so that they can get off the hook is big cash. Another $90 million spent on Postmates and all those others to fight AB5. That's just California. So they are really fighting tooth and nail in California because they don't want to face that avalanche of all of those misclassification dollars, unemployment monies, sick leave monies, all of that money that they should have paid out, just like companies are paying their employees, right? Those employees are taken care of in the equation. Maybe those W-2s are better off than us 1099s. Vegas, somebody just said, let me just see there, Vegas is still behind. California is still behind. Jay Morris says PAU is still being updated in some states and people should start reapplying today. Philman says, question, why is it the higher you go up in the company, the more make money, but do less work in the company? How does that make any sense? Interesting, right? Interesting how that formula works. But let's look at the numbers for 1 second. Let's just look at their numbers that they're putting out there today. Here is how the company performed in the quarter compared to analysts' expectations. Analysts have expectations from this company. Does the company meet their expectations? Is this a buy? Is this a sell? Is this a hold? Gross bookings. Just look at gross bookings. $15.78 billion in gross bookings. That to me sounds like a lot. Versus $15.27 billion expected. The market expects roughly $15.27 billion. They're surprised that Uber's gross bookings are actually $15.78 billion. That's almost 20, what? That's almost 200 million. No, that's almost 500 million more, right? Yeah. So the bookings are higher than the expectations. Ride gross bookings, $10.87 billion versus $10.68 billion expected, right? There's a $2.2 billion higher than their expectations. Eats gross bookings, $4.68 billion versus $4.32 billion expected. That's $0.3 billion higher than the analysts expected. So those numbers are all up. But the losses per share, $1.70 per share versus 99 cents expected. So obviously there the analysis can't be too happy. C Whatso8 says smoke and mirrors, magic tricks. Yeah, they got like abracadabra, abracadabra. Quickly, did you see that billion there? Abracadabra. We just pulled out another 200 million over here. Abracadabra. We just hit another $500 million over there. They are great magicians at their game. IQ boy. Uber only has to do one thing to make us true independent contractors let drivers set their own rates, then aren't they complying the federal guidelines? Exactly. If they would allow us to set our rates, it will never happen. Never happen. Chaos would break out, right? The one guy would go to LAX and say, "Oh, I'll take you for $5." The next guy will say, "I'll take you for $20." Chaos in the pricing system. Absolute chaos. But that would be the true definition of an independent contractor. You get to choose when you want to drive. You get to choose with whom you want to drive. You can drive for 4 companies if you want to. And you get to set your rates. You are truly, truly independent. All they do is supply the trip. That's when they could get away with it. But the fact that they are dictating the rates, the fact that they are, pretty much forcing people, except for California where they're being hit hard, right? In California, you can deny or accept a trip. But God forbid you deny that trip too often, then they say, "Oh, you're discriminating or you're doing something wrong. We'll punish you," right? And then they try to use those little tricks to punish you because you maybe didn't take the $5 trip, because under 4, we don't whore under 4, or we ignore under 4. At 5, we drive, right? We get to accept and choose here in California what we want to make. We're not going to drive for the onesies and twosies. But in all the other states, Uber and Lyft are forcing the people. There's no option in Arizona. There's no option in Utah to accept or decline a trip, right? It's sort of like a privilege that certain California drivers have. Why? Because they're fighting them on the AB5. So they say, "Okay, we'll comply a little bit with California, with the lawmakers. We'll comply a little bit, and we'll allow that driver to accept and decline." But God forbid a California driver declines, just takes that one, just takes that one, just takes that one. Boom, Uber and Lyft come and smack you down. So there is no freedom to accept and decline in California. And there's absolutely no freedom to accept or decline in Texas, Florida, and all the other states. So are we true independent contractors? No, we're not. Do I want us to become employees? No, I don't. So what are you talking about, rideshare professor? What I'm looking for is, hey, create a new hybrid division between employment, between independent contractor. Create an identity for the gig worker industry. Come up with new rules where it's a win-win-win situation. Win companies, win state, win drivers and gig workers. All 3 have to win in the equation. And you can create win-win situations in life, right? Not I lose, you win, or you lose, I win, or victim, you lose, I lose, right? That's the victim deal. No, we got to create mutual, equitable exchange of energy. It's got to be mutually beneficial. You win, I win. You win, I win. They, the state, win. The company wins, I win, right? I meaning the drivers, you, the drivers. So they have a long way to go. Taron Lark, we need a new rideshare company. Yes, we do. And, I hope when the pandemic is over, I truly, truly hope that my Canadian brothers and sisters there with the co-op rock and roll, right? They're doing a lot of coding. Right now, they're working on the PPE. I'm waiting for the PPE in the mail. But we do, there would be nothing better than 1 or 2 new big rideshare companies in the mix to really start creating competition and price corrections and better pay. Competition is healthy. When those 2 people have the monopoly, right? And I know for a fact that they're sharing attorney dollars, right? I've overheard the attorneys. Some of those attorneys were in my car, right? They are sharing costs. And that's not Lyft working independently, Uber working independent. No, that's them colluding and working together. So that, my friends, is a monopoly. What we need is several other companies in the mix. I was hoping and praying on day one, it could have been Trip or it could have been this one. I was hoping that Bolt would come over. Nothing. There is nothing here to give them a run for their money. But it would be the best thing that would ever happen to us gig workers would be 2 or 3 new players in the arena where we can pick and choose, and when then there's fierce competition between those rideshare companies. So there's no price fixing. There's no fixing on mile and minute rates, right? The one company can march in and say, I'm gonna offer better service, slightly more fees towards the rider, and I'm gonna hand a larger margin to the driver. Not gonna be greedy and take 50, 60%. I think we can smoothly operate on 20, 30% or on 10%, right? And give the money to the true earners, namely the laborers, namely the drivers, namely the deliverers, right? So we need competition. I hope that when the pandemic is over and if the market sort of bounces back, hopefully a company or two would jump into the mix. So the company posted a net loss of nearly $3 billion, even as bookings outperformed and ride-sharing saw an 8% year-over-year increase. So from last year, same time to now, 8% increase. My theory there is they managed to recruit heavily or recruit riders, right, in foreign countries. Maybe in Latin America, Europe, maybe their ridership really increased there. Because here in the United States, they have Uber and Lyft battling it out for those riders. But if where Uber enjoys the complete monopoly almost in many, many foreign countries, maybe they build their ridership out and the amount of bookings went up. Because here they state in Q1 2020, compared to Q1 2019, year over year, it went up by 8%. Rider bookings went up by 8%. Now, it cannot be 8% in the United States, right? Because if the volume of rides increased, right, surely we should have seen an uptick in our earnings, right? If you're driving more and you're doing more trips, just statistically, even 8 to 10% more trips, you should be making more money. But we're not making more money. Why are we not making more money? Because they're trimming more fat off. They're getting more and more creative in their algorithms and ways to extract that money. Just had a call on the other one there. Sorry, my other phone went off there for a second. But so while our rides business has been hit hard by the ongoing pandemic, we have taken quick action to preserve the strength of our balance sheet, focus additional resources on Uber Eats, and prepare us for any recovery scenario, CEO Dara Kay said in a statement. In April, Uber pulled its full year guidance, citing the pandemic's impact on the business. Uber earnings announcements follows news that it will cut roughly 14% of its workforce. We've talked about that, 3,700 jobs. Lyft is cutting 17%. That's 982 jobs. So they are trimming back big time. Alexander Rodriguez says, I was 5 stars with Lyft, and after 4 years, they deactivated my account for declining and canceling junk rides. Now that, to me, doesn't make sense. Why would they let such a good driver go, right? Why? Why are they terminating such a good driver? Maybe because they just don't want that driver called Alexander Rodriguez to come back at them, right, for whatever, misclassification dollars. Maybe it's just flat out a wrongful termination. That's happening to too many people. Jay Morris says, oh, you better believe they're going to run me my money because they still owe me. Likewise, they owe you, they owe me, they owe many drivers their money still. It's Moose. When Uber first came to Northern California, they only kept 10% for themselves, and the drivers were making $2.10 per mile. My friend, I know those times. Those were the good times. Those are times I was on some trips with my SUV making $150, $180 on a trip, right? Tomorrow, I'm taking a person that I know who's been staying at home. I'm driving them down to Irvine from Calabasas, $160. And that 160 goes into my pockets plus whatever tip they give me, because I have my TCP. I have my limo license. I'm not going to pass a cent of that to Uber and Lyft. Cruise and Limousine says, when this is over, I wonder if we'll see a raise in limo and taxi usage because people won't want to use Uber and Lyft. Now, that question, let's just take that question there, right? Cruise and Limousine, let's just take his question. When this is over, I wonder if we will see a raise in limo and taxi usage because people won't want to Uber or Lyft. My answer to that is let's jump to the survey. The survey suggests we are pretty done with ride sharing after all of this. So this article here will answer that question you just posed, right? Those not fortunate enough to replace commutes with telecommutes during the rise of COVID-19 have at least been able to enjoy the silver lining of reduced road traffic. That's true. We can get around everywhere, right, quickly, even if it has meant dodging Dominic Toretto wannabes at every turn. That pleasure, however, will be short-lived as America is returning to work with its recovery incomplete, and its situationally aware populace will do what it must to stay safe. To many Americans, that will require avoiding contact with the public wherever possible, meaning the substitution of private forms of transport for the communal, in other words, more cars and more traffic. So if you listen to this carefully, people might be going back to their own cars. Why? Because if I'm driving my car, right, and I'm willing to maybe put up with more traffic as people are going back, at least I'm safe. I'm not in the back seat with an unknown driver. Dennis Torres says, we have never been independent contractors. We just have flexibility. Correct. So studies by Car Gurus and the IBM Institute for Business Value that together surveyed 26,000 American adults found that around half, 50%, around half have developed a distrust for ride-sharing services like Uber and Lyft. Listen to that. Studies by these two companies, Car Gurus, IBM Institute, that together surveyed roughly 26,000 American adults, found that around half have developed a distrust for ride-sharing services like Uber and Lyft. 39% of the former's 722 respondents said they plan to use less or no ride shares whatsoever from here on out. And more than half of the latter's 25,000 plus respondents said similar. The IBM survey also found that 24% will cease using ride-sharing adjacent services like taxis, even though taxis may be less than 100th as germy your average Uber, according to a 2019 study. I'm not buying that taxis are less germy than our rideshare cars. I would say exactly the opposite way around. You keeping your car clean for the 5 stars, the taxi driver is not. So I'm completely don't agree with that statement. But the numbers here are astounding that almost half don't even want to go back to Uber and Lyft because of the distrust. Some 28% of IBM respondents who take public transport, such as buses or trains, said they will use their modes of mobility less often. And more than 20% said they will stop entirely. People still need to get around, though, and they will default to the safest way they know, that being the car, their own car, or maybe they will go out and buy a car, right? 17% of those surveyed by IBM and 49% by Car Gurus said they will use their own vehicles more, and around 25% said they will use their private form of transport exclusively from here on outwards. Listen to that. So because of the pandemic, because of the distrust or the mistrust of getting into a car, the surveys, the studies show, okay, I hope this is not true, because then rideshare industry is pretty much cut in half if you look at these numbers, right? But what they are saying, that is because of the distrust and mistrust towards Uber and Lyft, maybe even towards the driver. Does he have it? Does she have it? Is she pandemic free? Is he pandemic free? They now rather say, hey, you know what? We'll subject ourselves to the traffic again. We'll get into our own car. That is what I read from this, right? Bill Sam says, the assholes Uber just sent an email about how to get pop loans and nothing about how to get unemployment. Dara and Tony, snow you both. Garbage and Uber's going down the drain. Amen. Thank you for saying that. Robert Garrison says, people going back to their own cars again will take a long time to happen. It will accelerate when rideshare companies keep raising prices. But I mean, to me, this article makes a lot of sense, right? There is a huge level of distrust and mistrust that set in that we're not even seeing here in these quarterly first 2020 earnings. And that is that the March and April are completely wiped out because people were staying at home and not getting into cars. So I'm asking myself, or I'm asking you, if this is true, and they say that 50% will go back to their cars, that means that half of these people are leaving rideshare, half of the riders. Philman Tewaldis says, question, do you guys have the union drivers called We Drive Down in Southern California? If so, what's your thoughts? So what do you say? Do you guys have the union drivers? What is it? Which union are you talking about? Liberty Murph in the house. How are you? Let me just go back so I can read. Liberty Murph says, they tried to deactivate me also. I immediately filed a complaint via the Lyft review process that they email you after contact with Lyft customer service, which is only via email or text. Do you have an outcome yet? Do you have an answer on that? Eddie Cuevas is in the house. He says it's like what you've been preaching since the beginning. We need to look to start our own business so we don't get affected by the pieces of crap that make all these bad decisions and keep our money. And if we look at, which is 100% correct, Eddie, you got to take care of yourself. So if you have the ability, to set a little bit of UI money aside, if you have some savings, now is the time to really think, hey, I have the knowledge. I've learned everything I have from you, Uber and Lyft. Thank you very much. I appreciate that. Now, how do I funnel that into me? How do I funnel that into Taron? How do I funnel that into Eddie? How do I funnel that into Robert? How do I funnel that into Bobby Z? How, you're taking care of yourself, right? Being reliant, being dependent on these companies, as we can see, is dangerous. As we can see from this report, these riders are already mistrusting us. And it doesn't mean that they're mistrusting or distrusting the driver. They're mistrusting the company. And why are they mistrusting and distrusting the whole situation of rideshare? It's because they went through March and April 2020. Mark my words, 2 very forming months in the mentality, in the psychology of riders, right? In the psychology of riders, March and April 2020 had a huge impact. May now has a huge impact in their psychology. We distrust, we mistrust, we will probably go back to our own car and maybe to the private sector. So yes, I do see the private sector relationships between a trusted driver, the same driver, week in, week out, your private driver, your limo driver. I see those relationships becoming stronger as the market rebounds, right? Because they know what they are getting versus, hey, I'm going to jump into this car. Later on, I'm going to go back from work in this car, and I'm going to go into the airport in this car. How do I know? I mistrust, I distrust because of the pandemic. How do I know what's going on in all of these rideshare vehicles? So, moral of the story, looking at that, looking at the current situation, yes, you are better off going out there and starting. Eddie Cuevas, thank you, my friend. You can start a rideshare company or we'll follow you, which I'm really trying with the Canadians, right? With the co-op, the direct co-op. I really am. It's not over, right? Put a lot of money in, got a lot of grants, applied for a $25 million grant for co-ops in California. I want to rock that. I want to get under Uber and Lyft skin, right? I have taken all my technology, all of our hard work with GOAT rideshare, greatest of all time rideshare, and incorporated that technology with the Canadians, right? Setting up private relationships with drivers and riders so you can have long-term relationships, right? One-on-one. If they call you. If they call again, they call you. If they call next week, they call you. If they call for the airport in 2 months' time, they call you. If they call for shopping, they call you. That type of relationship building is what you want to strive towards in the future, right? If the rider's psychology is 50% have already checked out, according to this is an IBM survey. Out of 26,000 Americans, 50% of these riders have checked out in March, April, and May. Too dangerous, won't do it, only want to drive my own car. Or I want to have a private relationship with a driver. So I see the limo industry bouncing back big time, powerful. I have faith in that industry. I have faith in those one-on-one relationships. Whereas the riders don't seem to have faith. There it is. They use the word, let's see. It's a powerful word, right? Powerful, powerful word. Where is it? I want to find that word. There we go. Together surveyed roughly 26,000 American adults, found that around half have developed a distrust. Let's take that word, distrust. If I don't trust Dara K anymore, what will it take for me to trust Dara K again? If the rider does not trust, he distrusts, she distrusts the company, what will it take to get that rider's trust back? To get somebody's trust back after they've been hurt, after they've been burnt, after they've been screwed over in their salaries, after they've been misclassified, right? After all of that cloud around the pandemic, just cannot trust rideshare again. It's too dangerous getting in with that driver, that driver, that driver, that driver. Maybe he will cough, maybe she won't cough. Distrust is a big one, folks. To break through distrust and gain trust takes a long, long time. Dara K, for example, over and over and over again. Tony West, over and over and over and over again, has broken that trust. How difficult is it to get that trust back from Dara K? From what I look at the numbers, from what I look and read in these live feeds, not only my live feed, I jump into tons of different live feeds, right? I do searches on Dara K. I go into chat rooms. There is at least 95% of distrust towards the man, towards our CEO. And we're supposed to have a healthy relationship. We don't have. The fact is, let's not make shit up. We don't have a healthy relationship with him. We may have a healthier relationship with the company because some people are still making money. We may, as a driver, still have a healthy relationship with Lyft. But do we have a healthy, trusting relationship with John Zimmer and Logan Green? Do us drivers have a healthy, trusting relationship with Dara K? I can tell you, no, we don't. We don't. So if the riders, or 50% of those 26,000 interviewed, say, hey, we distrust these companies, we just cannot trust ride sharing after these pandemic times, right? And year over year, from quarter one 2019 to quarter one 2020, they gained 8% in ridership. But that was prior to the pandemic. That's over 1 year prior to the pandemic. Going onwards, let's say that 50% of the people has moved on. back into their private cars because they just want to be behind the steering wheel with nobody else. Or they are looking for private drivers, limo companies, right? So the question is, where does this industry go in 2 or 3 months' time? Let's say 3 months' time when it bounces back nicely, hopefully. We gotta think about this. You gotta really think about this and dig deep and use a couple of hours to really, really mill over this, meditate over this. Where am I going? Where am I, Bobby Z? Where am I, Eddie? Where am I, Ron Reagan? Where am I, Jimmy? Where am I, cruising limousine? Where am I, IQ, going from today, the 7th of May onwards? Where am I going? Well, I tell you what, like, where's Torsten Kunert? Where's Rideshare Professor going? Well, a lot of uncertainties on the horizon, right? How long? Will I get bailout money? Can I bridge this? Am I still waiting for money? Am I still waiting for a lot of uncertainties, a lot of question marks, but when you look at the data, when you look at stories like this, right? Where am I? Where are we going May onwards? The sooner you and I start making plans for ourselves, which means Leo Casamente takes care of Leo Casamente. Robin Reeneth creates something for Robin Reeneth. You become independent. You truly, at that point, you become independent. Right now, we are still too dependent on Derek Kay. We'd like to break away from Derek Kay, but we can't. We're too dependent. So the time now has to be spent where you have to say to yourself, how do I create my independency, right? I want that flexibility. I want to be my own boss. I want to sort of dictate my own rates and sort of know what I'm making every week and every month, right? I do want to go on a holiday. I do want to put food on the table. I don't want to stress about rent. I don't want to stress about my house payment. How do we do that? And I ask all of you, right, that if there is some money set aside, if we look at this data of distrust and mistrust of the riders towards the companies, why don't we go in and fill that void? Why don't we, as private individual companies, Phil, Leo, Robin, Eddie, why don't we as individual private companies go in and get their trust? And you know how you do that? You know how you do that. Here's my solution, my friends. Listen up. If you can make short videos, hey, I'm Eddie, I live in this city. I'm Robin, I'm in Las Vegas. I understand. Now, you're making a personal video, right, in your own YouTube channel. I understand that you may distrust you want to get their attention. This is how you do it, right? Eddie, Robin in Las Vegas. I'm appealing to you. I can understand that you distrust these companies and that you can distrust drivers during these times because the pandemic has taught you so much to distrust the companies and the drivers, and that you are scared, you might be afraid, you might have fear of getting into future cars. Allow me to take that fear away from you. I, Robin, have my own company, and I can be your private driver, right? I can show you a test, a COVID-19 test, which everyone can get right now, right? I will show you my results, and you can become my client one-on-one from here out onwards. These are the type of videos. Now, if you're in Orange County, you make one for Anaheim people. You make a video, hi. If you live in Fullerton, hi. If you live in Brea, hi. If you live in Newport Beach, hi. If you live in Huntington Beach, hi. If you live in Long Beach, hi. If you live in, see where I'm going, Anaheim? You create all of these individual videos, short videos, 30 to 60-second videos, and you play on their fears. You're not injecting fear into them. You're being compassionate. I understand that you're fearful and distrusting of going back into rideshare. I want to offer you the solution. My name is Robin. I operate in Vegas. I have my own private license. By the way, what you're doing right now is you're putting $800 to $1,000 aside to get that. And now you're making all of these little videos. If you want me to make those videos, if you want me to make some sample videos for you, I will do that. If you want me to make some templates for you, just send me the city. I will do that for you, because those videos are 30 seconds long and they play on the emotions of these people. You are not exploiting them. You are not creating more distrust. You are taking their fear away. I can be your private driver and I will serve you well. So you don't have to have any fears of getting into multiple cars during the day, before work, after work, on the way to the airport with your family. You have one dedicated driver, namely myself. And here is my test. I'm COVID-19 free. You show that to the video. Your video is 30 seconds long, and you now duplicate it. You cut and paste and do that for all of those cities. If I'm in Santa Monica, I am making that private video for Santa Monica residents, Marina del Rey, Venice, Culver City, West Los Angeles, Brentwood, Pacific Palisades, Malibu, Beverly Hills, Hollywood, West Hollywood, Encino, Sherman Oaks, Studio City, Redondo Beach, Hermosa Beach, Manhattan Beach, Torrance. That is my circumference where I want private clients. And I'm making all of those individual videos appealing to these people, saying, give me your trust. I completely understand why you distrust those companies right now because of March, April, May, etc. pandemic times. Give me your trust and let me become your trusted driver. I rattled off 20 neighborhoods, ladies and gentlemen, right? I just pulled them out of maybe I pulled them out of my ass, but those are real neighborhoods. I've driven all of those neighborhoods. Make those videos. Get yourself the licensing. Get yourself that commercial insurance. Take your vehicle, whether it's a Toyota hybrid, whether it's a minivan, you can turn it into a commercial vehicle. Any car you can turn into a private limousine, and start going after these individuals by doing social media marketing. People are talking about KFC. You guys are talking about KFC. You're making me hungry. I'm trying to give you some marketing and good solutions. But Robin's talking about chicken in Vegas. Keto is talking about KFC. All right. I understand. You guys are hungry, and maybe food right now is more important. Alrighty. Hey, what did you say? I'm making chicken masala tonight. Oh, it's one of my favorites. Chicken masala, Indian food. Oh, yeah, what I would give for that, dude. I try to give you a solution to that, right? Not really difficult. To that end, 41% of those surveyed by car gurus said they soon expect to purchase a vehicle. Geez, it was like deja vu. I hadn't even read the article, and I said, what would the most logical step be? And that means I either get back into my car or I go out and buy a vehicle. I said that 20 minutes ago. I carry on reading the article, which I haven't read yet, and it says, to that end, 41% of those surveyed by car gurus said they soon expect to purchase a vehicle. Do you know what that means? If 41% out of 26,000 interviewed people, 26,000 surveyed people, 41% say, I distrust the rideshare business now because of the pandemic. I think I'm going to go out and buy a car and actually be behind that steering wheel and do the driving myself. Great for the car industry when it rebounds back. Great for the buyers, those 41%, because you're never going to get deals like this again. See how there is this big shift, right? See how there is this big shift. Those are staggering numbers, ladies and gentlemen. 41% of those surveyed, 41% of those 26,000 people surveyed said they expect to purchase a vehicle, and be it a replacement for their current car or a new set of wheels to augment it. Rideshare Driver Pro from San Diego, Thomas Gibson says, I like getting personal referrals from associates. He knows the value of getting personal referrals. He knows because he did it. He went out there and did it. And did Thomas maybe think in the beginning, wow, this is a big step, this is a bold step, do I have some worries here, should I do it, should I not? Sure, there was a little bit of fear, but the one thing Thomas never feared, I know him, I know his personality, he never feared his incapabilities. He knew he is capable of pulling this off. He knew he can do this. That's why he committed. You have to overcome that fear and say, hey, I visualize myself in an Escalade, which he went out and got. I visualize myself starting the private client process, or hustling clients on the side, or hustling referrals from associates. Why? Because I know that those dollars end up in my pocket and not in Uber and Lyft's pocket. Now, and if you read this here, that 50% are distrusting the companies, are moving on. 41% are going out and buying their own car. I just told you. And a big, huge chunk of it is looking at the private sector. They're looking at private drivers, such as Thomas and myself, for the future. We just have to find them. We just have to go and introduce ourselves to them, right? So I don't know if you were listening in earlier on, Thomas, but here they talked about, out of this 26,000, right, 50% was distrusting ride-sharing services like Uber and Lyft. Obviously, the distrust came in March, April, May 2020. Now you are going out and making these many short videos. Pacific Beach, National Beach, La Jolla, all of these neighborhoods, Torrey Pines, all of these neighborhoods in San Diego, Thomas's. And he makes individual and says, I understand if there is distrust towards the companies and that there is a certain level of fear because of the pandemic. So allow me to introduce yourself as your future private driver. I'm COVID-free. Here's my test result. Boom, you can show it. Paper, you can get that COVID test. Swab up your nose, boom, certified. There it is, COVID-free. And my car's disinfected. Here it is. Look at, take video, take inside, spray it down. Let me be your private driver. I see a huge uptick if you tap into these people. My private clients are coming back. Tomorrow I'm driving. I got another 2 bookings, right? People are starting to come back. It's a good sign. Gary Ludani is in the house. He says, hello, boss. How are you? I'm doing great. I hope you as well, Gary, and I hope your family is doing great. And Thomas, thank you for the contribution. James Waikasa says, hey, Torsten, did you get that email last night from me about Uber? Yes. And I do believe I covered that story. I do believe I covered it. Referring to people using their own cars, correct. So that's big time. This is a huge, huge, huge statement. Out of 26,000 people surveyed, to that end, 41% of those surveyed by Car Guru said they soon expect to purchase a vehicle. So if Uber comes along and says, hey, our bookings went up, right? They're not lying. They're right about that. Their bookings went up. But their bookings went up from Q1 2019 to Q1 2020, right? Let's look at the next quarter when we look at that survey where people said, no, too dangerous to drive, I'm going to drive myself, or I'm going to go out and get myself my own car, or I'm going to get myself my own driver. If they could interview 250,000 people and the same percentages showed up as the 25,000 people, Uber and Lyft would be in a lot of trouble. And private drivers would be smiling. People like Thomas and myself will be smiling. I'm just saying. Gary says, I'm in New York City. When can we start working? That, my friend, is up to Cuomo to decide, Governor Cuomo. I don't make that decision. So I'm sure those people who've managed to flatten the curve and bring the numbers down quite a lot in New York City, because they're all working together and they're all bringing in stuff from other countries because the feds are not taking care of them. New York is bringing in a lot of its ventilators and PPE from other countries, from Russia, from China. Why? Because they want to get a grip on it, right? So you have a good chance in New York bouncing back fairly soon because you've been through the worst of it. Other states might still spike and go through the worst of it, but New York City has truly, truly weathered the storm. So I see, the status right here in California is that we balance, not going up, not going down. San Diego Rideshare Pro says, I like the COVID-19 free credential idea. Correct. Bill Sampson, since Lyft and Uber went public, the main goal now to make shareholders happy, forget about drivers and passengers, and it's going to get worse. Thomas, San Diego Rideshare Pro, listen to what he says. People want to feel safe. Let's just take that statement that he made. People want to stay safe. Do you want to stay safe? Sure. Do I want to stay safe? Yes. It's a very accurate statement for these times. People want to be safe. If that's the fact, if that's the given, how do we stay safe? Is being safe as a rider jumping into that car, that car, that car, that car? Probably not. 50% distrust, right? So if you can tap into that and tell people in your marketing, in your short 30 to 60 second, hey, I'm a private driver in Santa Monica and I will make sure you are safe in my car. That's your title. I'm a private driver, limo driver in Venice, California. I will make sure that you will enjoy a one-on-one safe trip with me. The moment you're giving the people a solution to be safe, they'll grab it because they don't want to live in fear. They don't want to deal with the unknowns. They don't want to have another May, June, July, which was like March and April. Mark my words, people don't like to be in fear. They want to get out of fear. You are using that formula, as Thomas said. I will show you how to feel safe. Come with me, become my client. I'm COVID-19 free. Here it is in my video. In fact, I'm talking about it. I should do it. I should go to one of these test centers, get myself a test. I'm gonna contact my friend Bronick in Germany. They have the best test kits in the world and say, Bronick, send me 20, 50, 100 kits, right? At 98% accuracy, also 98% accuracy as far as the antibodies go. Not only can you show to 98% certainty that you are not infected by the COVID-19, but that you have 98% certainty that you have antibodies in your system. That's a great test to hold up. I'll hold up a German test kit all day long versus some test kit that I don't know shit about, right? I'm not going to name countries, but I will hold up a German test kit that says that I'm COVID-free all day long. I would use that in my marketing. Hammer, 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 hammer time, Mark Thor. Hammer time. I haven't hammered Dara K enough in this one. Giving him a pass. Giving him a pass today. Where are we on the Lyft stocks? Let's just take a quick look, ladies and gentlemen. After our trading, not looking bad. Yesterday, look at that whopping from yesterday, whopping 21%. Whopping 21% jump in one day. That's almost a quarter of its entire worth. Boom, it shot upwards. Eddie says I should spray his ass. Okay, I'll fucking spray his ass. Where do I have spray here? Where are you, damn critter? I'll spray him down. Spray his ass. Cruise and Limousine says, sadly, if we go off of the 5th phase plan the government came up with, think we'll be sitting for a little while longer with airport runs or weekend rides. Possibly so. Listen, there are still so many unknowns, but why not use this time to build your future clients? If Thomas and I can use this time, because we drive as private drivers, and I market myself more towards private drivers that are possibly there in 60 or 90 days. Why? Because I sent them a message of safety. I'll be there for you in July, August when it bounces up. Use me. I can understand your distrust towards the rideshare companies. Okay, that is Lyft. What does Uber look like? Also, big jump here from yesterday, 11%. Not as much as Lyft, right? Another 6.72. So that's quite a whopping jump there in 2 days, like a double jump, right? To the Uber earnings, I've already read it out, what the expectations were, what they said. Uber's, they said, along with the surge in food delivery, we are encouraged by the early signs we are seeing in markets that are beginning to open back up, Khosrowshahi said. Obviously, he is going to make it sound like sunshine, blue skies, and beautiful ocean, right? He's going to paint you the most glamorous picture in these type of reports. They always do. Our global footprint and highly variable cost structure, all beautiful flowing words, what financial markets want to hear, right? Our global footprint and our highly variable cost structure remain an important advantage, as our expectation is that the ride's recovery will vary by city and country. Uber's Q1 results only offer a small look at the full impact of the pandemic on the company, though. With lockdowns in the US only going into effect in March, the firm's Q2 report will provide a fuller, that's what I said yesterday, the Q2 report will provide a fuller understanding how badly the business has been clobbered by a loss of ridership. Uber and Lyft will likely face their peak rideshare challenges in the second quarter. No doubt about it. Though we expect Uber to be hit harder initially due to its international exposure, blah, blah, blah. But these last two paragraphs are profound. Genuine's in the house. Good. Mark Roughton, sorry I'm late. I was getting taxes done. That's good. Nifty 50 says, since the Oktoberfest is cancelled, I don't think we will have any concerts in the country this summer. Now, is that the Oktoberfest in Germany, or is that an Oktoberfest here in the United States? The Oktoberfest in Germany might take place. I'm telling you, in Germany, the numbers are looking good. Their numbers are looking good and healthy. Tris, my dad's not feeling well. Taking him to the hospital. Wish me luck. Oh, pray that your dad's okay. C. Watso8 says Disney Springs to reopen in phases beginning May the 20th. So a lot of announcements of certain things opening up again. So question is it 30 days away? Is it 60 days away? Is it 90 days away? But somebody just mentioned the Oktoberfest. Who knows? The Oktoberfest in Germany might just take place, right? Scott Tucker in the house. Good to see you, buddy. Well, Novato is set to open phase 1 on Saturday. And I would be interested to hear, Scott Tucker, what does phase 1 mean? What does phase 1 look like? Who goes back to work? Do hairdressers go back to work? Do nail salons go back to work? Nightclubs will definitely not be open. Casinos will definitely not be open. I mean, what does it mean, phase 1? Some of the non-essential businesses can return. I'd like to understand what phase 1, phase 2, phase 3 looks like. We can reopen, but will the money be there? Good question. We can reopen, but will the trust be there? Will the trust of the riders be there? Jay Morris says, my mom has lupus and driving during this pandemic was definitely out for me. Everyone should think about the elderly, 100%. Everyone should think about the elderly family before they commit to going back to driving. Very true. Restrain some bars with restaurants. Okay, so maybe like a little, maybe the restaurants are not going to be cluttered, but you might have a table of people here, another table, maybe there's social distancing taking place in the restaurants. But yeah, I could sort of see that slowly coming back. You're right. Taryn says barbershop and nail salons will be the last to go to work. I just threw those out there because I was quite astounded that some states wanted to send those people back to work. And I thought, why would you do that? Nifty 50. Oh, in Germany. Wow. They actually canceled the Oktoberfest in Germany. Wow. Which, by the way, is held in the last week of September. I've been there, 3 or 4 times to the Oktoberfest in Munich. A lot of fun. Too much fun. Keto says, many blessings to you and your family. I've got to run. You stay safe, my friend. And I truly will take you up on that chicken masala one day. Sounds delicious. Be safe, my friend. Nifty 50's Life says, I'm glad I went to the Oktoberfest last year. It's a riot, right? Those big mugs have become expensive. I mean, how many euros did they charge for the big one? Later, Bobby. Later. Taryn Lark in the house. All right. Okay. I think I pretty much covered what I wanted to cover. Talked about the Uber stock price, talked about the Uber Q1 2020, talked about the survey in great length, which I thought was remarkable. This survey here. Survey suggests we're pretty done with ride sharing. 50% of 26,000 people had distrust towards the companies and would rather get into their own car or go out and buy a car. 41% said we want to go out and buy our own car. New car, used car, doesn't matter. This is something I should send to It's Smooth says, casinos are phase 2. Cool. Thanks for that update. It's Smooth says, my estimate is that 98% of the Uber and Lyft vehicles out there, it's impossible to maintain social distancing. It's completely impossible. Unless you have a stretch limousine and you tell the people, hey, get right in at the back and I'm in the front. By the way, those $300 safety dividers, which is rather expensive, but I have one. If anybody wants it for $100, it's brand new. Still have the box. I can put the items in and ship it. If anybody wants to save $200 like that, I have a couple. I will gladly ship you one. I have one left, and it's going at $100. Vicky, New Zealand, how are you? And if you're interested, just you could hit me up here. I'll send you photos. That rideshare driving petition or whatever it's called. 12 euros. Yeah, I thought it was 13 euros. That's expensive for a big beer, but it's a big beer. It's a massive beer. It's a heavy glass. Equever says New York Governor Andrew Cuomo said the law filet mignon dinner. That goes towards our filet mignon. Yes, gosh, can't wait for that, Thomas. Filet mignon. Damn, it made me hungry. Oh, you're killing me, Thomas. Thank you, and thank you. I like that emoji, like, looks hungry. Emoji looks hungry. Just tear into that filet mignon. Eddie Cueva says New York Governor Andrew Cuomo said the law got his competitive juices flowing, expressed an interest in seeing a proposal in his own state that steers more workers away from independent contractor status. Ooh, interesting. Interesting. Put the rider in the trunk. Jimmy, okay, you can drive with me, but guess where you're going to be? In the trunk. Your luggage, with your luggage in the trunk. I'm up front. I'm driving. All right, my amigos, my friends, meine Freunde, where do they stand with all the rentals program like Lyft Hertz? Completely fell apart. I mean, Lyft and Hertz, I mean, who knows? Lyft and Hertz may have seen an uptick of people that maybe didn't have a car and they were relying on rideshare. Now they want to stay out of rideshare cars, so maybe they're renting private people are renting a car until they go out and buy a car, right? Who knows? New Zealand, Ubervicky said, had only one death this week and one person has COVID-19. We may head to level 2 next week. Wow. 21 people died. I mean, that lady, that premier, that lady in New Zealand, she was the role model. She got so much international attention. She did it right. Your prayers, your premier did it right. There is no one that can boast the numbers as Taiwan and New Zealand. Okay, the people live further apart, granted, right? But still. Whoop, whoop. We're on 38. If I can get 2 more, pretty much out of here. I'm pretty much on my way out. If we can get 2 more thumbs up, I'd be super, super, super happy. She's on Facebook and she does Facebook Lives. Yeah, she rocks. I've listened to her. I've watched her videos. She's a powerhouse, young and dynamic woman. Robin Reenan says, wonder what Uber and Lyft will be doing with driver personnel health info when they get drivers to give them a note from the doctor to get paid for getting sick, collecting more data from us, and we are independent contractors. Yeah. You got a good legal mind, Robin. You should have been a legal eagle. They can't negotiate our PHI. They are not acknowledging us as employees. Correct. We're on 45. That's awesome. Thank you, guys. Just shot up from 38 to 45. Our shares, our house shares just skyrocketed from 38 to 45. Rock on. All right, my friends. I'm going to give you a big round of applause. I really appreciate you hanging in there with me. New Zealand, Ubervicky says, done a few rides this week, so made over $100. Good. Sounds like it's coming back. Good for you. Stay safe, though. Stay safe. But you're in a very safe environment over there in New Zealand. You guys got it handled. Roy Watkins in the house. Just marched in as I'm marching out. Greetings from Las Vegas. I send my love to Vegas and all the other cities where you guys are in. Stay safe. Take care of the family. Take care of yourself. And slowly, slowly, but surely we are getting there, right? And maybe think about what I said 30, 40 minutes ago about appealing to those drivers that have the distrust and the fear and bringing them across as your private clients, right? I gave you, I think, a good marketing idea, which I should also implement. Be very safe, everyone. Take good care of yourselves. Disinfect. Do whatever it takes, right? Cheers. Drive safe, be safe, stay safe. Bye.